Good morning and welcome to JoyNews Interactive. We're live from digital address GA0992539 in Kokomemla Crow on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 144. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram or JoyNews on TV. I'm a piece of CBDs. Thank you so much for your company. Now to our first story. Local textile industries have been complaining for the exclusion of government and manufacturing companies. You've been reacting to this on our Facebook page. They say stakeholders to contract them to produce the new uniforms for junior high schools, and the GES in April announced that from September 2019, it will introduce new uniforms for JHS pupils for them to appreciate the fact that they're in transition from basic school to secondary. Now, at a press conference on Monday, the Coalition of Textile Workers revealed that none of the materials of the new uniform on the market were manufactured by the 4 local textile companies. You've been reacting to this on Facebook on our JoyNews on TV page. Let me see if I can get your reactions. At Peter Nota says, he's asking what are the local textile companies waiting for? Just create a replica and reduce cost. Ghanaians would buy. You'll wait as a Chinese company will start, then you'll start buying from them in bulk. Harman Noti Brown says, if I, the Minister of Trade, Director of GS, and the President of these nations, I will reject the uniform because it was smuggled, the materials into the country. Okay, that's what he says. But I'm sure some of the ministers know something about it and pretend to know nothing. At Yao, Ntro says, yeah, and yet they go around preaching Ghana beyond aid. This one says, what have we done to ourselves? When you're ruled by people who run their mouths and they rock their brains, this is what you get. These same people told us SHS is not part of basic education. So where's the transition going to? Alfred Dossi says, government only interested in growing foreign businesses overseas at expense of indigenous businesses. Sometimes you can't understand the kind of leaders we have in Africa. Now, security analyst Adam Bona has cautioned against arming traffic police, fearing unwarranted shooting of motorists. Mr. Bona said if the officers must be necessarily armed, they should be given pepper spray, tasers, and other non-lethal weapons instead. He was speaking to my colleague Israel on JoyNews Prime.
I would advise against it because, first of all, how well trained are our, motor traffic department officers?
Are they not first trained as police officers? So all police officers are police officers.
For instance, Israel, you and I know that the defunct detective training school has been rehabilitated by the current CID boss. The reason is that you don't need to be a general police officer to be able to perform the role as a detective. And so to be able to perform the role as someone who has to work within the MTTD, it used to be a unit, now it is a department. You need to go through a lot of training. But as we speak today, that is not the case. And so you are going to arm officers. I mean, I'm watching on your screen. Armed officers who are sweating under the sun. Who are they going to carry, what do you call them, AK-47s or sidearms and all that? I would urge that if they are going to be armed, they should be armed rather with non-lethal weapons, like pepper sprays, like tasers, and what have you. And most of them, even in these traffic officers, simple tools such as handcuffs, they don't have them. So that you see, the normal motor traffic or transport police we know in the world, when they stop you and they suspect that you have some contraband in your car, they tell you to step out and they'll cuff you. And then they'll do a thorough search. But most of these officers don't have simple tools such as handcuffs. And you are going to give them pistols or AK-47s. And you know the way all of us behave in the city centers where the roads are few and we are struggling to go through. A police officer who is under stress, they are stretched. You talk and he will talk and you talk back. The next thing he will slap you. And what is going to follow? If you slap him, he'll pull his shotgun. Depending on his temperament, he'll put bullets into you. One or two deaths that way. And we are going to be telling a different story. And so we need to be careful and rather call for more training, with regards to deploying road traffic officers within, various cities and on our highways, Israel.
That's security analyst Adam Boner speaking about the whole army policemen with some AK-47s, maybe some firearms. But let's go to Facebook. You've been reacting to this. This one is from Edsbar, who says, it's sad we don't have any good institution for training. And Matthew Guma says, you have a point. Clear example of what happened yesterday at the police station. Citizens will suffer this new directive of arming the police on traffic duty. Prince Kirby says, how can you use pepper spray on someone at a far distance that is pointing a gun at you? So that's what he's asking, how you can use pepper spray on someone that is at far distance that is pointing a gun at you. As Newton Tain says, giving guns to the officers is like buying a toy gun for a kid. Not holding gun, they slap and they fight left, right, center. Giving them gun is like promoting them in their irrational and irresponsible behaviors. Daniel Watson says, even without pepper spray and tasers, they harass us daily on the road. Don't arm them on the road. Kamla Abraham says, with the slaps and blows these traffic police officers give the motorists and at the least provocation, how much more when they are armed with lethal weapons? Please, let's think this through and not make hasty decisions out of emotions. What the police service needs is proper policing training. They're quick to provoke with insults and slaps. Stephen Amankwa says, I agree with this assertion. In security matters, you don't act hastily. A lot of analysis goes into a security policy. That directive was premature and based on emotions and sentiments which have no room in security management. Sharif Bailey says, the decision is clearly hasty and unexamined. I pray cool heads will prevail. Those are some of your comments on our Facebook page, JoyNews on TV. Now let's go to our Facebook page. We have a poll. We created a poll, and suspended electricity distributor PDS says power outages reduced significantly under its watch. And we ask you, do you agree? And you have voted. Let's see what the results are. So 33% say yes, it has reduced, and 67% say no, it hasn't reduced. Let's see if we can get how many people voted. All right, 2,100 people voted there. So 65% of that 2,000 say that no, it hasn't, the tariffs haven't decreased, and 33% think yes. Let's see if we can take just a few comments on that. Kobai says, they should tell us their contributions to the supply of electricity. All I know is that they are mere distributors, but not producers. Henry Lamte says, in my area, it has improved quite significantly. I've even forgot about the term light off. Kwame Mu says, look, I have applied for a meter. Page did follow up, still they're tossing me. This will not help the country. And at Richard Frimpong Manso says, it is the same PDS that's supposed to have been suspended and being investigated that's issuing statements touting its so-called achievements. Erica says, I think they did well in collection of debts from customers, but that other one, yeah, I can't tell. Florence says, from the Brongatanga in the Upper East region, my area is experiencing power fluctuations for over a month. Samuel Adler says, a result of of that, they have taken over the revenues of ECG. At Savannah Prince says, oh my God, what have they done? Bright Kwame says they should tell us how much they invested. We are tired of them. A couple more comments before we take a quick breather. At Prague Coffee says, no PDS, we need our ECG back. And Yahaya says, PDS was far more poorly managed than ECG. Junior JM says, well, he's asking, what at all have they put in place to achieve this? And Thomas says, the Cabal-owned company is saying so in order to make a case for clearing from the clearing agent. And Daniel Carson is asking for an update. Is PDS gone for good or? And Maxwell Yabwa says, this is a big true because they are private. They are privates. The workers were doing their work efficiently. And Anocha says, there's access power. The hard work is already done. And CJ says, PDS should GP and rest and give us back our money. Don South says, but we the consumers can't differentiate from faulty outages and general outages. And the Fur Boating Daniel says, isn't that the same workers of ECG who just metamorphosed to PDS? The last one is from Eric, who says PDS is better than ECG. On that note, I'm going to take a quick breather. When I come back, we check out what's trending on Twitter. You're welcome back from that breather. You're still watching JoyNews Interactive with myself, Mapita CBD. You know how to join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're JoyNews on TV. Now let's check out what's trending on Twitter. We're going to start with the Ghana trends. Now the first top 5 is hashtag say no to xenophobia. The second one is Africans. The third is xenophobic attacks. And the fourth is Nigerians. Now, hashtag say no to xenophobia has been trending following the outbreak of violence in South Africa, which has seen some foreign-owned businesses targeted. A number of other African countries have expressed their concern and issued warnings. Let's see if we can check out what's trending in South Africa. Now, the first 5 is hashtag Dear Mr. President. Number 2 is Shut Down South Africa. Number 3 is Johannesburg CBD. Number 4 is Shut Down SA. And it's Boko Haram. So now, hashtag Dear Mr. President is a call from the citizens calling Mr. President and writing a letter to Mr. President. Well, you know what, writing tweets addressing the President Cyril Ramaphosa, South African Cyril Ramaphosa, that they are tired of what's happening in the country. Firstly, it is the xenophobia that's affecting South Africans. But another thing that's affecting South Africans is the murders and the rapes and of females and women and girl children in South Africa. Many girl children, wives, mothers, sisters are being raped and being killed, some broad daylight. We know that yesterday a student, University of Cape Town student, was killed when she was raped and killed when she was just going to the post office to fetch some mail, and that was in broad daylight. And it has sparked some debate on social media, and people are calling for the president and saying that, dear Mr. President, you've been silent for too long. You're always giving us speeches, but now is time for action. Let's see what the worldwide trends are. The first one is hashtag say no to xenophobia, and the others is the third one being Nigerians. So Ethiopia's embassy in South Africa has also advised its citizens to close their businesses during the ongoing tension that has seen shops in the commercial hub Johannesburg looted and set ablaze. Now, Ethiopia's state-linked FBC reports that it also says that Ethiopians are advised to distance themselves from confrontation and conflict and not to go out with expensive jewelry. Like I said, hashtag say no to xenophobia has been trending because of what's happening in South Africa, and I'm going to take some of those tweets right about now. David says Mandela will be disappointed wherever he is because this is not what he fought for. Hashtag say no to xenophobia. Alda_Shiro says she's a great continent, referring to Africa. Her people are amazing. The problem is those who call themselves leaders. They're absolutely clueless, careless together with those toothless continental organizations. This one says, this is from Abeku Santana, who says, good morning. Our leaders, can you raise your voices against the xenophobic attacks on our West African nationals in Johannesburg and make it public for SA government to see how upset we are with the disturbing news coming from their country. Stand and speak up against xenophobic attacks. At Nashio LK says, so my brothers, sisters of the South African origin, this is the best way. You've decided to pay back Nelson Mandela for all his efforts against discrimination. And at I am Mark Paul says, hashtag say no to xenophobia should be trending worldwide, which it is. As much as you have reasons for your actions, it doesn't mean that these actions are right. If you're going to attack people indiscriminately, or because they are foreigners. At Studio AFC says this is how the Holocaust started. Systematic elimination of a race. The value of a Nigerian life has now been undermined and can be taken at will by a black South African. There will be no rules of engagement when we decide to retaliate. At State Official says, black people have little or no understanding of the history of the struggle of the black race. When we understand our history, we will realize that to escape poverty and underdevelopment, we need to embrace each other and see Africa as one nation. At Aku the Piper says, when a child hits a child, we call it aggression. When a child hits an adult, we call it hostility. When an adult hits an adult, we call it assault. When an adult hits a child, we call it discipline. But when a black man hits a black man, what do we call that? Hashtag say no to xenophobia. At Ugamana01 says, the funny thing is that whites, Indians and Chinese in South Africa without proper papers are referred to as investors, and Africans without papers are enemies. The self-hate must stop and the government must declare a crime. Hashtag say no to xenophobia. As Juliet Ibrahim says, I've been speechless for days now. As a victim of 3 civil wars, I have been in pain, tears and confusion because I know what it feels like to go through what those foreigners are going through in South Africa. Illiteracy and bad governance sums this up. A lot of people have been saying that Nelson Mandela would be turning in his grave. But this is an old video of the late former President Nelson Mandela thanking Nigerians for fighting against apartheid. He was hidden in Nigeria for 6 months, and Nigeria gave black South Africans free education, 300 passports to travel.
They have also assisted us in the form of teachers, doctors, architects, and they have given scholarships to our children to study in the universities of this country. I am happy, therefore, that my delegation and I are today here in order to express our sincere thanks directly to you. I must also add that one of the issues that worried me in prison, as they worried many of my comrades, was question, I worried very much about my beloved wife and children. As you know, throughout these 27 years, she has been the victim of the most scandalous persecution by the government and its agencies. Even now, as I talk to you, she is still under that persecution. All sorts of excuses are being done to draw her name and reputation to the market.
And now the South Africans and the South African nation waits for President Cyril Ramaphosa to address the things that have been happening in South Africa. It's about time that we take our video of the day.
My friend's name was Elaine.
Elaine.
Yeah.
So hopefully through this performance, your friend will hear your message, but mostly the whole of South Africa will hear your message.
Yes.
I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Please go ahead.
Because of xenophobia, I lost a friend. He wrote a letter, said he gotta leave, he doesn't feel safe, and said I love you at the end. I reminisce the good times that we had together and all the time that we would spend. Let us all be one. Look what we have become. Together we can conquer everything. I'm asking the Lord to make the blessings rain so we can all see the light and be all right and stop the fight. It's cool there on the mic. I write what I like to be right. A fight is a fight. I'm preaching very hard on this mic. I'm saying no to xenophobia. I am telling my story and I don't really care cause my story counts. How can you kill your own kind? What happened to Ubuntu, sincerity and being kind? And I for when I makes the word blind. I know those words sounds familiar. No to xenophobia. I got a friend who I call a brother. He is from another country but we still love one another. I felt tears in my eyes when he told me that his father died. All I said that he was fine but I knew how he felt inside. Pain is really what he felt inside. So I am appealing to the people of South Africa to reminisce before 1994 when we were in apartheid. They welcomed us with open doors. I don't know how you can kill and burn a brother and show no remorse. You may think what I'm saying is not cool, but I ain't trying to be cool. I'm trying to portray a message that's good. Put a burning tire over a brother, take an AK-47, then shoot. That's not good. So when my friend sent me the letter, said they had to leave, I felt like my world turned upside down. And this is how I responded to his letter. I said to him, I said, brother, I know you say you within me, which means the aim in my life without you so empty. Don't leave, you're gonna drive me crazy. Every day send a message to say that you love me. Brother, just know that I love you. Notice in the foreground.
And we say no to xenophobia. On that note, I'm going to end JoyNews Interactive with myself, Mapisa CBD. You know how to continue the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram with JoyNews on TV.